All right, we're going to jump right into the Gold Cup. Like I said, we are, getting to the end of the group stage, and from a U.S. men's national team perspective, we'll start off there, if you will. So far, so good in terms of the results, and we know that this Gold Cup, this team that Greg Berhalter has brought to, in many people's eyes, is a B team. I find that offensive and disrespectful, but I completely understand why, relative to the team that features the likes of Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams, people are looking at this as a downgrade. Having said that, 3 games into the tournament, 3 wins. They won their group, which is, let's be honest, expected of the U.S. It's what we do and have always done when it comes to the Gold Cup. I don't think that anybody after this group stage is oohing and aahing about this U.S. team. But I'm not sure that they expected to either. First game against Haiti was a lackluster affair and certainly uninspiring, with getting away with 1-0, although Haiti was a much better opponent than I think people thought they were going to be. Second game against Martinique, 6-1, an expected drubbing of a vastly inferior opponent. And third game, we're recording this on Monday, which happened yesterday, Sunday, a 1-0 win against Canada, in which they scored in the first 20 seconds and then proceeded to hang on for dear life for the next 89 minutes and 40 seconds of the game. There are good things to point to, and there are bad things to point to. I guess, where do you want to start, Mosse, when it comes to these games and the team?
Well, first off, let me say it's been a very good tournament so far. I've been impressed with the level of the non-Mexico and U.S. teams. There's a tendency when those two teams struggle in a CONCACAF game to chalk it up to their failings, but you have to give some credit to the opposition. I've really liked what I've seen in this tournament from Canada, El Salvador, Honduras, Jamaica. It's really got me excited for the octagonal. And also, I love what I've seen from Qatar, which has me thinking already about the World Cup. So, we can get into where the U.S. has gone wrong, but let's give some credit that Canada had a lot to do with that match being difficult yesterday, and also Haiti in the opening game.
Absolutely. And to your point, I think what we are seeing, I mean, we're upwards of close to 60 players that are going to from Major League Soccer that are involved in this tournament, and it's just going to keep going because, by the way, CONCACAF has allowed teams to make changes now when the group stage is over. I just saw, I think, an announcement where Rodolfo Pizarro for Mexico is going to be added to the Mexican national team, another MLS player. And I think we are the architects of maybe sometimes if we were to lose of our demise, but we're also the architects of all of these nations in CONCACAF, 41 members, rising and being better. And that's a good thing. I think that is certainly a feather in the cap of the U.S., but it also means that we are going to face better competition. And so some of the teams that in the past just haven't had the wherewithal and the resources and the talents and the experience to be competitive in this environment are going to start to do better. I mean, we saw El Salvador take Mexico to the brink yesterday, and it was wonderful to see, being coached by my old friend and teammate Hugo Perez. And I'm sure he's very proud of the way that his team played, as he should be, as El Salvador should be. And to your point, the octagonal, it's coming, and I think some of the traditional notions that we have may be flipped on their head. As I mentioned, the first game against Haiti, there was this collective sigh and, I guess it would be a disappointment when the lineup came out and the likes of Jassy Zardes is starting, or Jackson Ewell, because I think that there was a desire from much of the American soccer fan base when it comes to this U.S. team, this particular U.S. team in this tournament, to see as many new faces or inexperienced faces as possible. Now, that then translated into the second game, where it was 6-1 against Martinique, where we started to see a lot of these new faces. Your Daryl Dike starting, your Gianluca Busio starting, these types of players that everybody's really kind of interested in. Eric Williamson. And I think that both in terms of the performance and in terms of the players that were used, there was a much more positive reaction. After that game, I came on air and I was, I'm not grouchy, I'm not grumpy, and I'm not I think what happens is when you're negative, it resonates much more in that people remember it. Nobody remembers all the positive things that you say. And so when I came on air, I wanted to give perspective and make sure that the way I was feeling about it was that, okay, it's Martinique. And yes, you play the team that's in front of you, but it can give you a false sense of security. And talking about Greg Berhalter, I think what he ultimately did was, I think he devalued the Martinique game in terms of the players that played in it. And I think he maybe raised the value of the Haiti game. And that I think that's actually the right thing to do. And so he melded the two and took what he felt was the best from both of those games and put them together for that third game against Canada. But in doing so, he also changed the formation and showed up with a 3-5-2, which enabled him to get both Daryl Dike and Gyasi Zardes on the field at the same time in a forward striker type of capacity. It didn't work. Okay, let's be honest. The U.S., as I said, scored in the first 20 seconds with Shaq Moore. Everybody's going crazy, rightfully so. Everybody thinks this is going to be great. And then they proceeded, as I said, to either forget how to play or just completely capitulate and absorb pressure. They didn't create another chance, a clear-cut chance through the game. And I don't think that the formation worked in terms of having two players up top, three in the back, and the five in the midfield. I also don't think that the personnel, the DK and the Zardes tandem necessarily is some in a 3-5-2 is something that worked. Someone like Gianluca Busio, who came out smelling like a rose against Martinique, then in this game against Canada was nowhere to be found. And he's young and he's inexperienced, and these things are going to happen. So ultimately, after the Canada game, I came on air and I said this was a very poor performance, but a very good result in that they won the group, they avoid Mexico, and they did what we expect of them in terms of the results. But how those results came, if you care, how those results came about, I think is going to give you pause and going to give you concern that this group right now can find a way to the final and or win the Gold Cup.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.